I'm thrilled to be here, and and honestly, it feels like there's crackling electricity in the air as we're moving into the high holidays, and so it's just such a special, auspicious time to be together. And I'm going to focus on a particular line in this week's double parsha. Talk about crackling, stuff in the air. We are in this high vibrational mode where Moses is about to die, and he is speaking to the Israelites kind of right at the border between the promised land. And there is this kinds of powerful, beautiful speech that is also quite depressing because Moses says, God, took care of you and will continue to take care of you. Like you're going to cross into this land and you will never be forsaken. Like you will never be forgotten about. And this is going to, God will always be with you. The source of life will always be with you. Beautiful. And you're going to fail. You're going to like get lost and get confused and lose your way. And it's not written like you might lose your way. Hopefully you won't. It's like, no, you will. And you will badly. Like we Israelites will constantly do go against what is in our best interest and will get lost. I just learned a line that from Rabbi Lisa Goldstein, who I love, where she was like, it's not a bug in the operating system, it's like a feature. That is our feature, is that we will get lost, we will go away. And then there is this beautiful line that then Moshe says that I'm going to put into the chat in Hebrew and English. This is the Hebrew line, and the English is right here. And it will be when they will encounter, this are the Israelites, many evils and troubles. This song that Moshe is about, oops, did you lose? Can you hear me okay? Okay. And it will be when they will encounter many evils and troubles, this song will bear witness against them, for it will not be forgotten from the mouth of their offspring. And the song is then recounted, and it's horrible. It's not only an account of how badly the Israelites get off target, but then all of these horrible things that will happen to them, us, when we go off this path, when we lose connection to our source. But Rashi, interestingly, doesn't take it to be so depressing. Rashi says this line about it will not be forgotten from the mouth of their offspring, this song, is actually about Torah. That even though the Israelites will go astray, their offspring will never, ever kind of forget the Torah. So we get it from God. God's never going to forget us. And then this future version of us will also not forget the connection to God. That is the Torah. And that's the song that will bear witness, that will bring us back to the source. So we can think about offspring as in literally, like somehow the children will remember this important connection. But we can also think about it like this future version of us, that somehow, no matter how horribly we lose our way, there is something within us that can find our way back to God, to who we really are, to our source. And the metaphor of that is a song. And it's interesting to think about, like, what is it about the song that will bring us back, or that will kind of bear that witness. Like, what does song do in our bodies? What are its vibrational frequencies within us that do that action of pulling us back? We're about to hear the shofar at the end of this, at the end of our practice. And that's, that's like the kind of very, very, very basic part of a song. It's that vibrational frequency to bring us back and remind ourselves. And it made me think of this story. I don't know if it's true or not, that I heard from Rabbi David Wolpe, from the end of, that he told, he said that this happened at the end of World War II in France. And before the Holocaust, many Jewish parents who saw the writing on the wall and were scared for their babies when they had small babies, gave their babies and small children to convents and orphanages. And then at the end of the war, the chief rabbi and some members of the Jewish community were going to these orphanages and convents in France to reclaim the Jewish children, to pass them on to their Jewish families, survivors, or next of kin. And the heads of the orphanages were like, we have no idea which ones of these children are Jewish. Like, we couldn't, for their own safety, we didn't mark it. We have no idea. The children don't remember. They're now like 4 or 5 years old. And so they had no way of knowing which ones were the Jewish children. And so the rabbi had the idea, okay, we're going to come back right at bedtime. And at bedtime, as the children were getting into their beds and getting ready for sleep, they would walk down the aisles of this orphanage and sing Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. And one by one, out of the beds, the children would cry, Mama, Mamushka, mother, Mama. And somewhere, so goes the story, deep in their bodies, they remember this song. Somewhere it called them beyond the place of memory, back home to themselves, to who they really were. And we're used to hearing about how the body keeps the score when it comes to trauma, which it does. We know that it does. The trauma is stored in the body and that it must be healed through the body. But I think likewise, our love is stored in the body, like that deep, deep sense of belonging, not just human love, because sometimes parents can do a pretty bad job of giving that, but this divine love and acceptance of who we are and of what we know to be true, that's also stored in the body, and that we can maybe access by remembering that song that's in our bodies. And now, time-wise, holiday-wise, Elul-wise, this is the perfect moment to try and really listen for that song in any place we feel lost. Now is the best moment to listen for it. So we're going to do that in this practice. And I'm going to guide us, and then we're going to be in silence for a little bit, but I'm going to guide us. It's a bit of a different type of a practice I just want to offer. If it doesn't work for you, just, you can always come back to the breath, or you can repeat the Shema as your own personal song that you return to as a mantra. But I'm going to guide us in a little bit of a visualization practice. See where it goes. So I want to invite you to get comfortable, to release any tension in your shoulders and your jaw, to settle into your seat. You can close your eyes. You can always keep them softly focused in front of you. And drop into this moment, just as it is. You could put a hand on your heart if that helps, or hand on your belly, or just let your hands fold in your lap. And I want to invite you to imagine a future version of yourself. It can be a year from now, it can be 5 years from now. It's totally up to you. But this future version of yourself is a little bit wiser. It's still you, but this person is a little bit wiser. It's a little more connected to your true essence, has learned a few more things. And if you can imagine this future version of you coming towards you, coming towards the present version of you, and notice what this person looks like, how they're carrying themselves. Imagine what this person, how that wisdom shows up in their bodies. And as they move towards you, perhaps you want to ask them a question. Perhaps they want to sing you that song. What would the words be? What would the melody be? How would they answer this question that's on your heart at this moment? Maybe they would, give you a hug, rub your back. Maybe they would sing to you. Just notice if anything interesting comes to you from this future version of yourself, reminding you of your own wisdom and of your relationship to the source of all of life. And as your mind wanders, you get distracted, you get lost in thought, keep bringing it back to this encounter with future you, to your own breath or hand on your heart, or to the song that's arising for you in this moment. Every single moment an opportunity to return, to make contact, to be found again when you get lost. What does this future version of you know, deeply know, in their bones? In any area you feel lost, afraid, can you find your way back to that song? To that wide, deep awareness of what is true. You can thank your future self. Tell them you'll speak to them or be them soon. And when I ring the bell, you can bring your attention back as one method of calling us together.
Thanks, Yael. I'm going to blow the shofar. Jan Mahler is here, and Jan is going to be blowing later in the week, but we were having some technical difficulties getting the sound to work well, so I'm a last-minute fill-in. I hope I will do as well. And I don't think I need any more introduction because I think what Yael just gave us was a wonderful introduction. So we want to just take a minute or a few seconds to prepare yourself. So we'll have a chance to reflect with Yael on the practice in just a moment. And if you need to leave us, we wish you farewell. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back here tomorrow, same time channel. And we're going to have an opportunity now for those who were saying Kaddish, remembering loved ones or others to do so. We'll put the text of the Kaddish up on the screen if you want to put any names of people you are holding in mind or heart today in the chat. We welcome that. And you're welcome to unmute and join me in reciting the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash
Shmirabah,
Alma Yirach Kirutei v'yamlich machotei v'chayei chol yomei chol v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael v'gala v'zman tzarich Amen. Shabbat v'yitpa'al Yitashar v'yitalel v'yitpa'al Shmei v'yitzav bricho Eila min birchata v'shirata v'shvachatem v'shivcha ma'an Eishma min Shalom Aleichem. Ya'aseh Shalom b'meinachu v'yachol Yisrael.
Amen.
I'll pay Yael Shy.
All right, thank you, everybody. So if you are leaving us, wish you farewell, tzitchem l'shalom. And in the meantime, we're delighted to be able to bring Yael back in for a little bit of reflection. Yael, always such a delight to hear your Torah and practice with you. And there was so much here to reflect on, and the idea of the future self and the song that is sort of innately in us. And sort of, I found myself thinking about like what song is emerging, is unfolding or emerging. And I was also thinking about a more depressing version of it was a bumper sticker that I once saw that said, "Remember who you wanted to be." It's like, oh. But like, but also making an intention for who we want to become.
Absolutely.
And yeah, and I wonder, as I don't know if you're willing to share, but if as you're uh thinking about that and practicing with it, what was some of the conversation that you were having with future you uh during that set? And I'd be curious to hear what came up for people in the chat, what came up in your conversation with your future self.
Yes, I agree. I'm also very curious to know what came up for others. Um, so for me, I find myself a lot recently, I don't know why, feature of aging or whatever, but just feeling very crunched and constricted around the idea of dying. Actually, I think I do know why. There are people in my life who are younger than me that are really in a difficult situation health wise. And I think it's kind of thrown our family for a loop. And I think so. But maybe I always was this way, just thinking a lot about death and mortality and very scared about dying and very much crunched by the idea of time, like not enough time, too much to do, or like just more life I want and not enough time, and you know, just kind of depressed by that scenario. And this conversation I have with future me, which I actually do a lot, it's like I really love the practice. The answer always comes back to me of like a kind of an awareness of time that is different than how I'm constantly thinking of it. Like constantly thinking of that horrible, like, you know, what are those things called? Like hourglasses where the sand's coming out and then it's going to be empty. And this future me knows something about how that is one way of looking at it, for sure, but that like real time works in different ways, that we can kind of have expanded time in any moment, and that things are being born and dying at all times. And I mean, that's a whole nother conversation, but it just happens that this is the place of like healing for me and something I need to keep remembering to get out of that crunched up idea of time and into this more expansive one, because that's the place where like love and joy and everything happens in
Mm.
that place. I know but that's just
That's
honestly
beautiful.
what I'm dealing with.
Beautiful. I mean, it makes me think about Rosh Hashanah is like this day of like weird time on the Jewish calendar, in that it's uh first of all, it's a 1 day holiday that's 2 days, and the Talmud actually refers to it as like one long day. Like we kind of stretch this 1 day into two. Um and and the ways in which, yeah, it can become, these holidays can be very evocative if have previous experience, if you grew up with them or whatever. It can become this wormhole into some, lots of, very powerful memories and, sort of powerful evocations, of like what's coming. And yeah, and this invitation to be with a different way of time. The other thing is like this whole season of holidays, right? When we have this whole month of Tishrei, which is just chock full of holidays, and is this just very different form of time, right? We don't have it quite as much this year because a lot of them are on Shabbat. In the years when they're not on Shabbat, there's like, even more. You get Shabbos and you get these holidays, and like the whole month feels like it's just one really, crazy time.
Yes.
An invitation to the term I've heard of late is deep time, right?
Mm,
Like there's a deeper kind of time that you're talking about than just, I like your word crunch, the feeling of being, there's an expansiveness that responds, a softness. The opposite of crunch might be, soft. I don't know.
yes, and it's kind of it is Shabbat time. It's like what Heschel called like the palace in time. Like that's what Shabbat is, and that is that deep. What did you say? Deep time?
Deep time, yeah.
Yeah, that's that different way of relating that I think we've all felt at different moments, but I think our norm is like, what time is it? How many years old am I? What do I have left? And I think this time of year too, we're about to finish the readings, the Torah, and then we start it again. Like there's no break. It's
Mm,
circular. And there that is what's a realistic. You go out into nature and things die, but that's just one way of things. What they really do is they change form.
mm,
And so it's like all these reminders that this is just one little way of looking at the picture, but we know something else to be true inside of us. At
mm,
least for me, I just constantly need that reminder again and again.
mm. There's a lot of good stuff happening in the set.
Yes.
A lot of folks who are further along in the aging, more wisdom in aging than you and I have, who offer some really good reflections here, folks in their 70s. Um, and and Deborah, the song that we're talking about is in the Torah portion, right? When Yael is referencing, when Moses is saying, you'll remember this song. It's ultimately it's the song that is Ha'azinu, is the next parsha, that is then sung, is a poem or a song. Same word in Hebrew, shir. So yeah, lots of wonderful comments here, that are really coming, which I'd love to see. There was something that you had just mentioned. Um,
I see
well,
a
yeah,
question from
go ahead.
Laura.
Yeah,
Do you have any thoughts of how to begin integrating future self's wisdom into your life today? Future self says, stop trying so hard, relax, enjoy what is. And I think a few people here wrote too that their future self said everything's going to be okay. Isn't that amazing? Like mine also comes with this wisdom. I mean, it's us. It's in there, but it's, some part of us. And so how do we integrate that? And I think that's what this practice is. It's like just remembering, like remembering again and again. And again, coming up to this holiday of Yisker, where we, observe Yisker, we remember people that have passed, but we also engage in this act of memory. Like, again, this time is weird. Like, what are we remembering? We're remembering a, a wisdom that our future self is telling us because our future self is in us right now. And so it's, that is the practice, remembering again and again. And we'll forget. Again, it's like a feature, not a bug. And we remember.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's also, thinking of Rosh Hashanah again, Yom HaZikaron, the day of remembrance, right? So, I think I said the last time I hosted, the great thing about Rosh Hashanah is like, ask any rabbi. You can write any drasha about Rosh Hashanah. You want to say anything, Rosh Hashanah can get you there. It's an amazing multi-purpose holiday. It's chock full of everything. The other thing that came to mind as a practice for me, something that I learned years ago from somebody in a moment of crisis, was, what do you want the story to be in 20 years? Like, pause and think, how do you want to tell this story in 20 years? Right. And I find when I have, hard choices to make sometimes, if I stop and ask myself that question, like, it becomes totally clear what the answer is.
Mm,
Uh, sometimes just giving ourselves the gift of stepping outside the moment that we're in and looking back from another perspective. And because we all have enough experience to know, I remember stuff from 20 years ago, and I remember what I wish the choice might have been, or I was really proud of that choice, or, etc. So,
Yes,
yeah, I think
it's
that's
beautiful.
that can be really helpful.
It's also a powerful question to ask kind of collectively as a society. What, like, can we dream into a future together? Because you have to sort of be able to access it or imagine it in order to live it and to change what needs to be changed. And so I love that in that way too.
Yeah, there's a lot of great images of people's future selves. Uh, a lot of embracing, loving from future self. Um, yeah,
Hmm.
lovely, lovely stuff here.
Yes.
Um, Sandy had a question about, is the story you told about the converts true?
I don't know. So I tracked down two different sources. People are saying in from two different rabbis. I can try and put it into the chat if you want. I don't I make no promises, but maybe it's true on a specific level of like it feels true. Maybe it actually happened in real life. I don't know, but it was really moving to me as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Andy writes, our future selves are already growing within each of us. The only question is whether is what we are doing or will do to create or nurture the future self that we are becoming and want to be.
Mm, beautiful, Andy.
Okay. Okay, and that's the link to the story that you said. Okay, wonderful. Um, yeah, it's interesting how much of this is tied up also with aging questions, and there's a reference here to Rachel Cowan's in Linda Thal's book Wise Aging. Tomorrow, by the way, will be the sit is dedicated in memory of Rachel Cowan on her 5th yahrzeit, which was last week, and so for those who are moved to join us for that, hope you will. But yeah, these aging questions, uh, you know, perennial. They
Yes.
keep coming up. Absolutely.
Yes.
Mm, yeah. My future self told me I have a good, wise, loving heart and to trust it.
You do. We all do. They know what's up, these future selves. They really do.
Oh, Dvora has that's a wonderful note. I read a future self wish list, and it amazes me how close. I'm going through my kid stuff and found a story of his future self by my 10-year-old son who's now 40. So much was so close. That's great.
Amazing.
Wow.
It's amazing. And the relationship between just this accessing or touching into like your heart and then what happens in the real world, like nobody knows it. I don't necessarily believe that you can manifest every single thing in exactly the way that we want it to, but I think just accessing what it is that feels like really true and that feels like what your deepest heart desire, I think it's just very powerful.
Yeah. And somebody had mentioned, like, isn't this tshuva? Yes, I think this is tshuva. Like, this is very much a part of, the returning of this season. Is, um, as you call it, touching in with who we are and who we're becoming. And very much so, right? This is a tshuva practice, as pretty much all of the practices that we do on this set any time of year are. They're all about coming back to ourselves and reintegrating, being present, right, with ourselves and with what's present. So, yes, absolutely, it really is.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you again, Yael, for a lovely session. And I don't think you're on again before Rosh Hashanah. Is that right?
I
Um,
don't think so, but people can get in touch with me, especially if you're in the New York, Connecticut area. I'm going to be doing a lot, like having a tashlich meditation and a training program, and so I would really love to be in touch. And if I can ever, be of help, please reach out.
okay.
I think this link should.
Wonderful. So there's the info@yaelshy.com, easy to remember. Why? And wish you a Shana Tova, and everyone, thank you for being here, and we will be back tomorrow, same time and channel.